Does practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will improve your Nevasa in Judo? Or cross-training the two disciplines will actually make you better at each other one of them? And today I'm going to answer to you this question. But first of all, why should you listen to me? My name is Stanislav. I have around 15 years of experience in Judo because I've practiced the sport for basically all of my life. I'm a black belt and also have practiced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the last months after all of this experience in Judo, and I'm going to tell you what is my experience from it. First of all, why do I really believe that practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu forces you to become better at Nevasa? First of all, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and specifically no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu make you better at Nevasa and Judo. I firmly believe that because BJJ forces you to have a better control. Because when you're training Judo in the gi, there is much more friction between the bodies, and so you don't need to apply that much control over your partner. While in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not only you need to apply good control. I mean, if you're inside control or Yoko Shiogatame, or when you're not out Kami Shiogatame, you need, or mount, whatever position you may think of, you need to apply a good control because you then have to apply a submission. And without a good control, it's unlikely that the submission will work. And also there is much less friction on the body, so BJJ forces you to have a better control over your partner's body. And also specifically in no-gi, you don't have any tissue, any lapel, any sleeve that you can grab to increase that control, so you have to use your body in order to keep your partner controlled. And BJJ forces you to do that, and in my experience it increases the amount and the amount of pressure that you can apply to your partners in Judo during Nevasa. And also it you need to become much more precise where you put your hands and where you put your control when you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu rather than Judo. Because in Judo, in Nevasa Judo, okay, wherever you put your hands, you are going to do something good. But in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you need to place hands and be much more precise or of where you apply the control. So I believe that this will make you better because it makes you pay more attention to where you place your body weight. Also, from what I've saw is that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a relatively new, much more new sport, and it has a big growth over the world, especially in the West. And I believe that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu methodology, in a pedagogical way of how it is taught, at least in my experience, it's more precise and has more transfer to the reality of the sport. Because from what I saw in my experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's being used, at least from the coach that followed me, it has a much more ecological approach. What do I mean by ecological approach? I don't mean to be a lecture about what skill learning is, but ecological approach basically is a training where you are forced in a situation that you are likely going to encounter doing the sport-specific practice, and you're going to repeat that in a closed situation. For example, you have let's say a game where you need to pass the guard of your opponent, or you have a game where you need to escape from a certain position. So it replicates the specific situation that you're going to face in the reality of that encounter, okay? So if you're training that situation more often, when you're going to encounter that situation in rolling or in randori, you will know what to do. And from the methodology that I've experienced from the coach that followed me in the few months that I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it was easier for me to learn because I was more exposed to the specific situation that I was going to encounter. So I think that this concept can be translated to the learning of Judo, because in my experience, the training that I've done in Judo was a lot of uchikomis, a lot of drilling, a lot of repetition of specific patterns, which I believe it can have its place, but it probably really outdated. Also, if you look at the research that exists on motor learning, drilling uchikomis until you become basically mentally retarded, it's not most optimal way to learn. The most optimal way to learn is to try the specific situation that you need to encounter. But it's not, since Judo, I believe, is more traditional as a martial art, you're not, most coaches don't update to the new research, don't update to the new methods of training and learning that exist. And so they apply the tradition, which is uchikomi, repeated until you start to puke. And so I believe that also for this reason, do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, specifically in the ecological approach way, can teach you a lot on Judo Nevasa. Also, the other problem with Judo and Nevasa in Judo is that most dojos don't really focus on the Nevasa, because in Judo you can suck at Nevasa, you can literally suck at Nevasa and still be overall good. In my training camps, in my experience, I'm decent at Nevasa. I'm not an incredible athlete, but in my experience at training camps, I faced some high national level athletes, and we were doing Nevasa rolling, and I was able to tap them out. Okay, I'm not a phenomenal athlete. Okay, not at all. I'm trying to become one, but I'm not a crazy good athlete. And I was still able to tap out different high-level national people at training camps. And the reason is not because I'm very good, but the reason is no one is really focusing on Nevasa if you're not a specialist in it, okay? There are some judoka that specialize in Nevasa, but Nevasa is not really considered for the rule set that exist, and also in the judo culture. In the judo culture, you're good if you're able to slam your opponent, okay? There is not much focus at the Nevasa. And practicing an art or cross-training an art that focuses so much on the Nevasa pushes you to actually become decent at this gap in your training, okay? So I believe that cross-training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can also make you better at Judo somehow, but I believe that Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are very different sport, and also the pace of the rolling and the randori in Nevasa and in Tachiwaza, which means on-ground randori, on-ground rolling, is still different. Because in Judo is much more it's much more intense. It's much, there is a higher pace of drilling. There is a higher pace of, how can I say? There is a higher pace in Judo. You are going faster. You are going to be more explosive. While in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can take things more easily. You have much more time to apply your technique. So, yes, I believe that you can benefit from training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for Judo Nevasa, but still in Judo, especially if you're going into competition, you don't have that much time to apply your techniques. So, understand the principles, understand what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can teach you and you can apply to your Judo, but you still have to train to the sport-specific demands, which means if you're trying to become better in your Nevasa in Judo, my advice would be try to apply the techniques as fast as possible in Judo, because you don't have that much time. So train the transition from Tachiwaza to Nevasa as fast as possible in order to become a better judoka and apply that into competition, because in the end, this is all that we care about, applying better techniques into our competition. So, in the end, to finish what I was saying, cross-training is good, can help you, absolutely, improve your Nevasa from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Judo and vice versa. But you need to understand what are the principles underlying that and apply to the specific sport situation. And doing that by yourself can be really hard and challenging. But luckily for you, I can give you a free consultation if you need to do that. I'm a physical therapist, I'm a future strength and conditioning coach, and I've done Judo for 15 plus years, and I'm also coaching kids at my dojo. So if you need any help, any advice, you can contact me with the information that you have down in the description. I will be very happy to listen at your concerns, at your doubts, and maybe try to solve them. I don't want to charge any money. I will do that for free. So, thank you for watching. Aim upward as always.